welcome. We're going to end strong today and give you a little boost here. So I'm here with my great friend Anthony from J&J, and he's, as said, he's the Global Vice President of Procurement, Business Process, and Capabilities at J&J. And so we're going to jump right in, and my first question is, what role does leadership play in making tech work? And J&J has had some really amazing success with technology, and it was started under the previous CPO, Len DeCandia, and now it's continued on with the new CPO, Shashi Mandapati. And Shashi, in fact, like you, is a very technical person. So in that context, what role does leadership play in digital excellence?
Thanks, Eloise, and I'm very, very excited to be back at DPW. I'll say leadership plays an essential role. And in J&J, we're very, very fortunate to have had our current CEO, Joaquin, actually serve as our interim CIO many years ago. So both Joaquin and our new CIO, they've really helped model the need to be tech bilingual. And by that, I mean the ability to really combine the fluency in science and business with the fluency, in technology. And to the point you just made, our former CPO, Len, was a tech enthusiast. And our current CPO, Shashi, my boss, has a very, very high digital acumen. But there are pros and cons to that. Obviously, the pros being, I don't have to spend a lot of time convincing him of the value of using intelligence automation or data science to unlock value for the business. But on the flip side, because he's so steep in digital, he sets a very, very high bar for myself and my team. And but listen, he keeps us on our toes. But the point I really want to make, though, is it's super important for leaders to be able to elevate their digital acumen if they are going to be able to really use digital to unlock value for the organizations. And I'm so glad to see many CPOs here today. And it's also important not just to elevate digital acumen, but also to ensure that you're prioritizing digital among your investment priorities. I think it's that combination that would really help. And then the last point I just want to make too is I firmly believe that it's the role of leaders to really create that atmosphere of trust and risk-taking and experimentation that would help unlock value and really help make tech work in organizations.
I really love that bilingual, being able to talk these different capabilities. That's really great. And by the way, if you ever talk to Shashi, that is so true. You do not bring him half-baked technical stuff. He really comes to play. All right, so my next question is, what is something that makes tech work that most people don't think about? And you come from an IT background, and what is it that procurement folks don't think about from a technology point of view that you sort of maybe groan or roll your eyes that you would like to convey to our procurement audience?
Excellent. No, that's a great question. I've always, throughout my career, I've always operated in the intersection of business and technology, and that's really helped provide me with a unique perspective when thinking about how to make tech work. And I'll say that there are many factors into making tech work. Number one, it's got to align with your business strategy. You've got to reimagine your business processes first. You've got to think about data, the quality of your data. You've also got to consider, the capabilities as well as the limitation of the technology, and then the team, right, that you assemble to make tech work. But the one I really want to emphasize is all around experience design and the users. Because most times, we sometimes, to be honest, forget who we are building or designing these solutions for. And we don't bring the various personas along with us. And I like to think that no matter how great a solution is, if it's not easy to use, if it doesn't enable people to get, to access the insights faster, it doesn't make their life simpler, it doesn't provide them with delightful experience, it won't stick. And unfortunately, I've had a number of scars, to to show for that. So I always say you've got to put the users at the center of your digital, initiatives, and don't just rely on the project team to make, those decisions just because of the role user experience plays in really creating that stickiness and helping you realize the investments you're making in tech.
I think that's great, and that ability to give a delightful user experience is amazing, and we have come to expect that in our consumer life, and
Exactly.
we're working on it in our enterprise life, not just in procurement and in all areas. And that kind of leads me to my next question about how important is upskilling or digital upskilling in making tech work? We have people, and they're probably not where they need to be for the future, and we'll probably talk about AI, I'm afraid, in a few minutes. But how do you think about upskilling or digital upskilling?
No, that's another good question. I think I'll build on my earlier point on leadership and digital acumen. I think as procurement professionals, we really need to ensure that we continue to upskill ourselves as part of our learning and development, especially in the digital age, that we're in. And by that, I don't mean everyone should become a Python programmer or be adept at using R, but you should be able to understand the business, challenge, and then understand the opportunities and the limitations that tech can play in really helping you solve that problem. And it could be as simple as being able to identify opportunities to apply advanced analytics to a problem when you have, tons of data. It could be, learning and applying agile or design thinking, being very, very focused on your customer and falling in love, with the business problem, or just even understanding the basics of generative AI in either helping you summarize vast amount of data or extracting insights when you have tons of inputs. And I will say, at J&J, we've created a few digital upskilling programs to suit different learning styles. We created digital learning channels so people can learn, at their pace. We've also created some more interactive sessions. We have like a Together We Learn session. We have coffee chat series. And the goal is really to help demystify a lot of the myths that surrounds digital. And in doing that, just help elevate the collective digital IQ of the procurement function.
Yeah, I like that, and that's back to the bilingual of tech and business and being able to code switch between the two. Speaking of code, I would like to exchange Python code tips maybe later. All right, so you mentioned it, and I loathe to bring the topic up, but we should get there. We have officially entered in the age of intelligence or artificial intelligence. So what does that mean? And sort of one of the arguments I make is process management has changed. We saw that in the previous presentation that we no longer have to define everything to the nth degree. We can use intelligence to guide the user, to give the users that delightful experience. And so, I just have to give this disclaimer. I've been giving it all day. I have a saying that if you're over 30, I don't really care what you have to say about Gen AI, because I think a lot of us we've just painted ourselves into boxes, and if you grew up without mobile phones, they're new and novelty. So with all of that context, how do you think about all of this AI stuff and Gen AI in particular?
Yeah, I mean, we could spend the next several hours talking about this, and we'll still need more time. But I do have a strong opinion, and I'm over 30. But first of all, you are right. We've moved from the information age into the age of intelligence, and that is massive. And for me, I think it's the most transformation we'll see in our lifetime. There are many scholars that have actually estimated that up to 50% of work activities could be automated within the next 20 to 30 years. So think about that, up to 50%. But saying that, I also believe it introduces tremendous opportunities for the procurement function and for organizations, at large. And it's going to be very, very pervasive as we move forward. So if you think about it, history has shown us that companies that don't embrace tech will fall behind. I think that's a given. I don't think most people can argue with that. And there are many brands, household brands, that have disappeared overnight because they were slow in embracing tech. So that's the first point. The second point being, as companies, transform their businesses, as they rewire their organizations, tech will quickly become an equalizer, right? So you've seen many companies digitize the entire supply chain, their selling processes. Obviously, some have had, better luck than others, but tech will become an equalizer. So as we move into the digital age, I think that companies that can harness the combination of human intelligence with the most advanced cognitive and intelligence, most cognitive and artificial intelligence will be the ones that will create differentiation from their competitive set. And those that actually stay focused without getting distracted by the hype are the ones that will thrive. And in J&J, we've taken a very focused approach to doing this. We've selected a few domains. We've taken a domain-by-domain approach. We've focused on contracting. We've focused on category strategy development. We've also focused on supplier resensing. And we've reimagined all those processes so that every step of the way can be guided and driven by AI. But we're only just scratching the surface because I strongly believe that it's the orchestration and integration of those end-to-end processes using artificial intelligence that will create that limitless value, for organizations. And listen, I'm super excited about it. I think the future is bright, and I think we're very, very well positioned to continue to unlock that value.
That's awesome. I love that. I'm going to pivot slightly because when we talk about delightful experience, especially for our suppliers, and doing all of these initiatives actually is a team effort, a team not just internally but externally. So what's the role of suppliers and partners in making tech work?
That's, I know there are tons of them out there, so...
so be nice.
Yeah. So at J&J, we view suppliers as a natural extension to our ecosystem. Without suppliers, we're not going to be able to, achieve our mission of changing the trajectory of health, for human health. We won't be able to do that. And if you then bring that down one level to making tech work, I don't think that we can achieve any of our objectives without the tight partnership and tapping into the ecosystem of the suppliers out there. We have over 45,000 of them, that we work with in various capacities. So they are critical part of us creating value for our stakeholders. But that being said, I think there are 3 points I'd love to mention. The first one being, it's super important to be thorough in your selection process, right? We use the procurement garage to experiment and to de-risk the introduction and scaling of new technology into our ecosystem. And we've had a lot of successes, doing that. The second point is really to be very, very clear, on your objectives, on your business objectives and your success metrics. And also enable the suppliers to also contribute to that, to help shape those success criteria, because it can't just be a one-way dialogue. We want to achieve this and just expecting our suppliers, to follow suit. It's a collaborative effort. So that approach is very, very key. And then the third thing I'll also add is ensuring that you create that one team culture of trust between ourselves and our suppliers so that decision making can be faster, right? And we can identify problems quicker, and it's not them, against us. And in J&J, we've taken things a step further. We've actually applied a lot of the principles for employee management when it comes to supplier management to make sure that feedback is actually bi-directional. And it's not just us telling them, it's really they helping us so that we can both be successful.
Yeah, I love that. And I just want to highlight, and you talked about this on this stage 1 year ago, about your digital, your procurement garage journey, and that I think has really paid dividends for you. I heard you talk about it last year, and what you just described. I think that especially around the selection process, and really, I think it pairs with that one team concept. All right, so we've made it to our last question, and I'm going to give you a bit of an open-ended question, but I think this will resonate. Is given your journey, given J&J's journey and success in digital procurement, what are 3 takeaways you can give all of us, the audience? That's not an easy question, I know, but
I think the first point I'll say is, it's a great time to be in procurement. I think the role of procurement has really elevated over the past, 3 years, coming out of, through the pandemic, et cetera. I like to look at us as a gateway to innovation, for companies. The financial contributions that we make, what we do to enable resiliency, to drive sustainability for companies, and then add the information age that we're in now. I just feel there's tremendous opportunities that we can create. That's the first point. The second point I'd say is just for companies to take a very focused approach to unlocking all this value that is out there to be gotten. The first one being upskilling yourselves, as well as don't just believe you can throw tech at the business problem. And then the final point is just, you got to buckle up, you got to get going, and don't forget to just have fun in the overall process.
I think that's such a great 3 messages. It's an awesome time to be in procurement. I love that message, being thoughtful, and then buckle up, because this is fun. I mean, we should have fun. So thank you. It was lovely to have you on stage here, and thank you for sharing your insights.
Excellent. Thank you so much.